First item we have,
You gotta be kidding me.
the minutes of January 26, 2023. Take a quick look at that.
I read this, so motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There's no meeting mail, no appointments. So at this point, we're going to go into executive session for a little bit to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, wages for non-union personnel, as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, as the chair so declares. But we will be returning to public session. So we do need a roll call vote to go into executive session. John?
Here, yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Okay, we'll be coming back out. All right, we're back in open session, so now our next item is the FY24 revenue plan.
Is that the one I can't read?
No, it's,
Third one.
no, you can read that one, man.
All right.
I can read it.
I think you and I have the same problem.
Yeah, I just went again for glasses yesterday, again.
So it looks like using the methodology we've been using in the past as far as actuals across certain areas in the plan.
In the last meeting, we asked Dana to look over the numbers, make sure they seem appropriate.
It's in line, definitely in line.
So it's a 33,000, 30 rounds, and 1,811,743 and 743 in revenue.
And I know that we have proposed rates. Is this level of revenue at the current rates or at the proposed rates?
Current rate.
The current rates. Okay, so anything that we do to rates potentially is just going to then make that even better for us.
Right.
Okay.
And
And you also have your $100,000 emergency fund
Right,
in the
yeah.
budget as well.
in last year, if golf continues to go the way it's going, we did 36 last year. So we got a budget of 30, projection of 33. If we actually do that extra 3,000 rounds, the revenue's gonna come in.
Yeah.
So I think it's covered.
And the 1,811,743 covers where we think we wanted to be expense-wise then as well, correct? When I looked at the,
It does, which
Yep.
is the next page.
that's what I thought. Yeah. All right, because the 1,000,009 includes the 100,000 reserve at the top, okay?
Mhm.
I think given our, since COVID history, I think it's still being slightly, well, not slightly, I mean, being realistic in what we could hope to expect to see without being too optimistic, I guess is what I'm trying to
Right.
say. And put us in a safe place where hopefully the combination of rates and rounds will exceed that, but it gives us a baseline that we feel comfortable that we would achieve.
Hey, she's calling back, you didn't satisfy her.
Sorry about that.
So,
So I make a motion to approve the FY24 plan. 33,030 rounds and $1,811,743.
Make a motion to approve.
Ed was here seconding it? Ed made the motion, so you're seconding it, Manny? Yes.
You want me to
I'll second it.
Okay, John's gonna second it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then it looks like the next page, as we just said, moves on to the FY24 budget, which is balanced with that level of revenue, but it's actually $1,911,743 because it takes into account the $100,000 reserve that we've been doing the last several years for, just in case unforeseen.
Right, and when you put all the numbers in, it comes up short. The expenses would be short of that revenue by $57,293. And so what I did in order to balance that, I just put it into capital projects.
Mhm.
So we're basically come up with the same number.
Yeah.
Which is the way we've always done it. When we had less expenses than what we project the revenue, we put it into capital projects. And it just kind of sat
Yeah,
there.
and then if needed down the road,
Hats,
right,
whatever.
we could
Dip
always
into it.
request a budget transfer if needed.
And if for some reason the grounds and revenue doesn't materialize,
Mhm.
we can hold that
Right.
and use it. Now, for the next two pages, I just did the calculation for the clubhouse and for the maintenance.
Before you get there, I had a question about the overtime.
Yep,
You have overtime and longevity. Longevity is at 5,000, and overtime is put in there at 3.
right,
The longevity does, if we're having a line item that's actually overtime, we don't need longevity to be at 5,000 unless someone's being added or something different is being done. Because we have 3 people for longevity, what, 800,
Right.
800, and 400, 8 and 8, 16, 4, 2,000. So the most you need in there is probably 2,200 as opposed to 5.
all right, so I'll have Nick adjust that.
Yeah, because they did, the payroll people, and they had recommended that we create that line item as overtime as opposed to, doing what we did last year because we were on the spot, putting it in longevity. So that might be, that could be adjusted.
Right, okay, so I will adjust it.
So the overtime total could be 5,000, which could put longevity back at like 2,000 and change or something.
So you want me to leave that longevity, take overtime out?
I would I'd leave overtime, what I would do, you have FY '24 has a $3,000 overtime wages.
Yeah,
I would bump that to 5.
Okay.
And reduce the longevity to 2,500. And then, so you're basically going, or 2,000, so you're basically going from a total between the two of 8,000 down to a total of 7,000, so you basically save $1,000.
and we'll put the remainder in the capital project.
Yeah. So it balances out the same way as it currently does.
And the backup for the staffing is, for operations, is the 127,536, which is a $19,000 increase, and most of that is the minimum wage jump. And as I stated, is the bag
boys.
attendants adding 22 more hours for
Not to-
washing carts or what.
If I could add to that too, with the increased play that we've had for COVID, I've kept guys longer. Usually the season end, I would stop having guys around mid-November, but the play has been there, so somebody's got to do the work. I can't be doing everything, so I've been keeping a starter on, and if I can keep a bag boy, so we used a few more hours this year, not a lot, but at least to get through the off-peak season, because the play had picked up over the last couple of years.
All right, so that's the math there. And for the maintenance, I use those minimum numbers,
Minimum end of the range, correct?
bottom of the range. It comes to 276,824. These are basically the numbers that Steve has proposed, which is basically adding one new full-time equipment operator, which is $35,000 of it. This difference between last year and this year is $37,626.
A question about, should we be considering the impact that we're the raise in insurance rates on our fringe benefit? Because they're out negotiating now for insurance, and they're feeling that it's going to go up which is going to be a shock if we make it anywhere from 5 to 10% again. I don't know, because we never know the insurance cost to the end of the year.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to leave it. You know.
Okay.
If it comes out of,
Capital or the emergency.
right.
So we have a motion to have the $1,911,743, that's the FY '24 proposed budget.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
Second.
Bob seconded it. All those in favor?
All right, so I'll sit down with Nick and have him put them in a nice little format that they use.
Yeah.
And hopefully be ready for Finance Committee on the 22nd,
Finance committee is the 22nd and the
Selectmen
Selectmen
28th.
28th.
Heating system repairs, I know that was yours, Steve, for the,
Greenspan's.
oh, I'm sorry, skipped over that. 2023 Greenspeeds.
Yeah, we got one more page.
That's one that Manny can't read.
If you go to the sheet that is stapled, has a stapled sheet to it, so on the second sheet is that.
In the last page of my handout is the rates for 22, so,
Yeah,
which was approved by the Board of Selectmen, so.
Is there one more of these, Ed? I don't have that.
no. Same one?
Well, one's stapled, one's not.
oh no, one's stapled, and that is a hybrid of last year's numbers and this year's numbers, because I had started that prior to the season not ending. And then the one that is, stands alone is just this year's numbers, March through December.
Oh,
So
okay.
you can see the difference on the dates on top. It tells you the difference. So the most important one is the March 1, 22 through December 31, 22. So if you take a look at your rate sheet we discussed, basically our areas of opportunity for rate increases were generally looking at weekdays, because that was the biggest variance between us and our competitors. And I did include a dollar increase on the weekends to tie it in, because I figured if we're gonna go up $5, you might as well go up at least $1 on the weekend. I mean, the number's there. If you don't wanna do it, you don't have to do it. But I just figured it's easier to go get it now while we're doing the increases, and $1 on the weekend probably isn't gonna have a significant impact to the weekend player, especially, you know, that's the guy that's prime time coming.
So it was.
Yeah, I'll go down, it
50.
was, I'll go down the list. So your routing rate would go from 65 to 66. Your weekend walking, this is where the dollar increase would go from 52 to 53. So rather than being $72 combined with the cart, it would now be 73. That's with cart inclusive. No change on the cart price, just added on the walking price. So if you come in walking, you're gonna pay the dollar. If you come in riding, you're still gonna pay the dollar, because you get hit with both. Your Twilight, we discussed, that was a steal at the price we were charging. So much like the weekday rate, we're looking at a $5 jump on that, so you went from 45 to 50. 9 holes, weekend walking, 34 to 35. Your cot fees stay the same. Resident, we haven't touched the resident rate in eons, so I was thinking this would be a good year to do it, offset some of the other increases that we're having with regards to costs. At the $35 price, it's a giveaway. So 35 to 40 on the resident, and then on the peak season you get charged for the cart, so it goes from 54 to 59, and same thing with the resident, 9, 18 to 21, and peak summer is 27 to 32. That's on weekends, and that's with a cart. Juniors, no change, and then you go to the weekday outings, $5 increase, 55 to 60, 18 holes, walk-in, 45 to 48. Weekday special is from 55 to 60. 9-hole special, 34 to 37. 9-hole walk-in, 25 to 28. Twilight, 45 to 50. And then the resident, again, 35 to 40, because it's the same, basically the same thing, weekdays and weekends for the residents when they're walking. 9-hole resident, 18 to 21, and then you leave from 25 to 27. And as far as our league rates, we're like $8 cheaper than Allendale, so a $2 bump is not dramatic at all.
Swansea's way up
Yeah,
too.
so, and then again, on the season passes, leaving those, so with the jump, and that was the other thing I was thinking, with a $1 increase on the weekend, that would kind of sway people to probably maybe jump in. That $1 might be the breaking point for them to go, you know what, let's buy a pass this year. So if I'm gonna do 25 rounds, it's 25 extra bucks. I could save more money if I just do the season pass and buy that and get my savings there. And then if you go across the board, I have the comparisons with the weekday comparison rate to the pass breakdown rate with the weekend rate, and then the percentage breakdown. So you can see on the percentages the significant discount that they're getting with purchasing the season passes, which is why they've become very popular with our customers. And I haven't had any complaints from that program, other than the guys that want the $18 round of golf. And you know what I mean, this isn't cheap enough for them. But outside of that, the guys that are paying 73 or 60 or 55, when they get the season pass, they're ecstatic, and it continues to kind of draw in their friends, and sometimes their friends pick them up as well. So with those numbers, and then if you take a look at your single sheet, the one that's not attached to those, I basically took our March through December volumes, applied the rates, the new rates, to the individual item-specific items, calculated them out on the row down the side, and then you have a ballpark number at the bottom. Now I did have an input error where I put the outing rate on the weekend walking rate by accident, but you see the pen number, I've corrected your number. So that is the estimated number of what we would be at should the rounds and volume and the weather stay the same as they were this year. So with regards to Ed's projection and this number tied into our current volumes, you can kind of get an idea of potentially where we'll fall. Now that doesn't, you know, come into a recession, weather's not good, we've got some cushion.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
Any
I'm
chance
starting to have
on getting a
reservations.
resident veterans discount? Oh,
We
seriously?
still do the resident outing rate. It's $5 cheaper
Yeah, but-
than
Yeah, if
the
you
outing
have an
rate.
organization.
Yes.
We've gone, yeah,
That's
it's
still-
the
that's-
same thing,
yeah.
right? Yeah, I keep that.
It's a $5 discount.
Yeah,
That program
yeah.
will stay the same.
Like for Lions and
Correct.
Old Colony, and I
And
think.
No,
there's-
I'm talking, residents, veterans, you have a lot of veterans that play golf and a resident. I mean,
Well, the resident, we
residents,
have a
you
resident
go to
rate.
a restaurant and get 10-15% off in a restaurant in a lot of
We have a-
places.
Yeah, we have.
We have a resident rate. Is that a resident veteran
Yeah,
rate?
yeah.
So you want something even cheaper than the resident rate for the resident veteran?
Why not?
I don't know,
I
I'm
mean,
asking.
the guy puts his life on the line
Yeah,
for
I'm
this country, and he
just
can't get
I'm just
maybe
clarifying.
a $2 discount on a thing? I mean, how many are you
You
gonna
want-
have playing?
Give a resident veteran an idea, give them a free cot.
Yeah, there you go, something like that.
It's up to you guys, I'm just tossing out ideas.
Yeah, well, and we tossed around ideas last time we met, and I was talking about making a big jump on the weekday, but with all this talk of recession coming, things going on, I wonder if we shouldn't be taking that $6 step this time around. I like the
We did we're doing a $5 increase.
$5, right. Whether something more conservative, like $3.
Well, we could see where it goes, and then if we want to put in that afternoon special, or back down to twilight earlier, we can do that to adjust it.
Say that again to me?
So say we start up the season, everything's fine, all of a
At
sudden,
60?
it hits the fan,
At 60?
yeah, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, the economy hits the fan, and it goes downhill. Well, all right, so then, you know what, let's start our twilight at 10 o'clock rather than at noontime, and we'll do a $10 price break a little bit early. But the first guys that get there, that's prime time, you know, get those guys to pay the freight and see where it goes.
We're still lower
We're
than
still,
every.
that's my point with regards to.
Yeah, we're still
we look
lower
at
than everybody
Swansea
else.
and-
I know, those are the two big ones, weekday.
Yeah, I mean,
We're talking $8, $9 differences with our
Yeah.
immediate competition. A $5 jump was still we're gonna be $4 or $5. They're probably going up too.
Oh,
So
they
we're
gotta
still-
go up.
Probably, right.
yeah,
We're still gonna be $6, $7 cheaper than them.
I'll bet at least that, $8 cheaper.
We're gonna be the low ball leader. And then again, we have the pass, which gives you another, what do I have, 25%?
27%.
37 on the weekend? I mean, those are great discounts.
And you can do the 10 pass too, so.
You can do the 10 pass if you don't wanna bite off 20.
I don't think the economy is gonna go down the tank.
I don't know.
I think it's gonna be mild.
I think
That's my personal opinion.
Everything is
But-
coming into play.
You're basically in a recession because
It already started.
the GD, they can
Everything's gone up.
redefine it any way they want, but you're basically in it. And you're basically moving out of that. I don't think it's going to be an explosion where it's going to be great. I mean, how can you?
Interest rates gonna start to come down.
How can you, well.
Just went up again.
Yeah,
It
well,
just
only
went
a
up.
1/4%, but after this
Yeah,
down,
tell me about
this,
that
Well, we'll see
refinance
what
of student
happens,
loans
'cause,
for
you
my
know-
kids. Interest rates are
Yeah,
Everything.
9%
five
now
percentage points higher than they were
on student
in
loans.
March.
I don't know.
Crazy.
5%, I mean,
Crazy
it's
money.
ridiculous.
but I think that's the last increase you're gonna see on, from the feds.
But
Hey, I got a question. What's the range ball situation as far as small and what our bucket? What is it?
I think, what are we at, can't remember what we're at. I think 6 and 8, I think it is.
That's it? It should go up on that. If we get some real golf balls in.
Yeah, no, I have some stored.
And clean them.
I could pull out.
Well,
everything
yeah,
that's in- Listen, what happened was the bag boys we got low at the end of the season, and they took all the water balls and they threw them in the machine. I tried to keep them from doing it, but I'm not there every day, so the days that I'm not there, I go to get some water balls to sell in the shop as, you know, the
Yeah.
jar balls, and I'm like, where'd they all go? Well, we threw them in the machine. And I go, all right, well, you know what, when we open in spring, get in the machine and get them out, because I don't want them in there.
Well, I think you go up on that. I just, you know, like Ed said, the balls have to be a little more,
Yeah, I
In
have
better
a supply,
condition
I
and-
can start out fresh.
Presentable.
huh?
Presentable.
Yeah, yes, thank you. I hit one, and I hit a driver, and the thing like made a whistle. I said, what the heck is that? I said, I thought my club head went off. No, it's a freaking
right.
ball.
I just lost my gloves. They can't find my gloves.
Where?
I shipped
With
them
the
down to
lipsticks
Florida.
Shipstick?
Get
They
out.
called me yesterday, and they were supposed to put them on the box. They didn't put them on the box. They sent them just on the bag, carry bag. So
Looks like you're getting a new set.
Should put them on the balloon, they would've get down there
the
faster.
whole thing, you know, well, the paper, you know, the labels disappear. So I had the guy, I was half an hour on the telephone, telling him what kind of gloves I had, and what color my bag was, and my, oh gosh,
Oh, jeez. Did they find them?
not yet.
think I know a guy, we can get you a set.
Hey, it was a pretty cool, almost new set.
Oh, they'll make good for it.
So my only thought on the rates was, and I know it is cheaper and it hasn't gone up in a while, but would it still be a little something to the residents to still keep that, kind of tying in with Bob, just resident in general, just keeping that the same, or do we feel that it's time to change?
How many residents Dana, do we know that you get out there?
We got 701 on the weekends, and
For the whole year?
about 2,000 rounds. Residents.
So that's 10% of all the total round.
No,
No.
actually, that's.
No, it's way down below
Five,
that.
that's less than that.
36,000 rounds.
32,000 times.
Wow,
That's- that's
9%.
Yeah, that's,
Wow.
that's 4%. 32 times 4, 8, 12, yeah.
Yeah, 1,800 would be 5, so just about 5 or 6%,
Yeah, 5 or 6.
And what's the rate now?
35.
And we want to go to 40?
That's what
That's-
Dana's
Yeah.
suggestion was.
That's with a cot, March, April, May, then June, July, and, no, weekdays it's with a cart. On weekends, they pay for carts, June, July, and August.
Well, why don't you, we could put the
Give-
resident
How
veteran
about
rate at
$2?
35 and put the.
Instead
Yeah,
of
I'd
5?
I'd be happy with that, instead of
Yeah,
5.
yeah, I think maybe to
Go to
go to
37?
$2 or $3 the most.
$2.
$2, 37.
Let's do it $2.
Yeah, so make it 30, 37, and
I go up on, if we do what we said we're gonna do with the range balls, I go up, I mean, it's not a lot, but how many balls range?
30 per token.
All right, what's the capacity? What do we go through a year? How many people use that range?
Range, we did,
Just
on
curious.
average, about
30,000.
3,700.
Dollars, yeah?
No, buckets. I'm saying, I kinda put a dollar amount in the average.
That many?
349.
30,000.
30,000 is
You wanna
how much
go
we
up
make.
on that? If you go
How
up,
many balls you put in a little small bucket?
It's 30 per token, so
Yeah,
2 tokens is a large,
Yeah.
60.
60.
it averages,
balls?
yeah.
$60.
Oh,
I go up a bucket.
Yeah.
That's a lot
Go
of
up a
balls.
dollar.
60 balls is about half your game.
Yeah.
For some-
At least, at least.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna waste that
Wow,
many shots.
wow, I didn't think you were that talented. Wow, that's pretty good.
I'm serious, it's 9 holes of golf for some of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go up $1 on that. And make sure they're presentable.
how many
Yeah.
I lose?
where did you watch that? You have a special,
The machine
The
does.
judges-
Oh, yeah, that,
not wash the machine, but you have to have a chemical with it, right?
Yeah,
I just
use
dab a little bit of
in
bleach.
there, yeah.
And it goes through the brushes. I mean, it doesn't get them spotless, but it cleans off most of it.
There's nothing better out there that you can clean with.
And the better than bleach. Get your tidy whities white.
The other
Let's
thing
talk
about
balls.
the bleach helps to disinfect the inside of the machine
Mhm.
to some extent. I mean, it's not
Keeps
complete.
algae and fungi.
Because if the water, yeah, if the water sits in
how's the
there-
brushes in there, Danny? You checked them out lately?
Yeah, no, that machine's running pretty smooth.
Is it? Yeah?
Yeah, they just have to remember, the
You
the
can't
kids some-
overload it.
Yeah, sometimes the kid, they don't change, you know, and once you do it, you gotta watch, you gotta look at the brushes, because some stuff will stick to the
Mhm.
brush.
And they don't
you
clean
just
it.
change the water, you know,
Oh,
to
okay.
drain it. and
All right.
something else.
It kind of goes with everything else. I like to have the seniors do most of the jobs because they do them right. And they have the patience to do them right. The kids just want to blast through it, get on their cell phones and move on. It's crazy, but that's today's world.
But now since we're in the balls there from the funds, what ratio do you use from the guy that dives? What does he keep and what does he give you?
I try to get three bags off of them. That's what I try to get. Sometimes I get 2, sometimes I get 3.
And he
Depends
takes
what he
5,
gets.
7 home?
Yeah, I don't know. It's dark when he leaves. I'm not out there holding his
How
hand.
wonder why.
often does he-
Oh, sure.
Once
that's-
every other year, once a year. Sometimes he doesn't come for 3, 4 years. Sometimes he comes.
Well, you should make a
You need to find
plan.
somebody that comes more often, because the
Yeah.
balls are
Down there, they get muddy, and that's
It
why they
don't
get
take
brown.
long, those things, they get muddy quick.
They sink, you know.
That stuff is
You
nasty.
should have it
So
clean every
when
year.
was the last time this guy was here?
He came
think?
late last year.
Oh, he did?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay.
got 2 bags off of him for last year. That's where, if you look at job balls, you're pulling, let's see.
You should bag it, you should tell them
I
for
think we do
split,
like
even
400 bucks
split.
in job ball sales.
Yeah.
You should get it for an even split.
We won't do it.
Oh, find somebody else. There's somebody else that does that.
Yeah, but the guy we got does the scuba like Steve likes, because the other guys will come with trays and they'll rip your line. And this guy does it by
But
hand.
the guy, the
He
scuba
knows what
guy
he's
is better.
doing.
The guys who get out there with the drag and they go from side
Yeah,
to side.
we got rid of that guy.
And with our pond, it'd be very difficult now because of the problem with the Phragmites. I mean, we were out there, we finished edging the 2 ponds this week, and the pond between 14 and 15, we need to take a serious look at vegetative encroachment. We have to get a management plan for that, get a pond company in here, because we're losing 5-6 feet on the edge of that pond to this vegetation invasion. And Kevin, we couldn't believe it. I mean, you can see where the initial banquet was and what we've
Oh,
lost.
really? How much it
because
grew?
How much
Yeah.
it's filled in. What happens is they start to grow, they get a root mass, and then they start to collect other things that are in the water, and it fills in and it displaces the water. And the pond won't hold as much water as it was designed to hold. But I don't think they could drag it with the machine now.
Ed, do we have to make a thing,
Motion on the
Yeah.
rates.
thank you.
Like what?
I couldn't get it out. For the increase?
We need to have Dana fill out the form and, so we can review it
Okay.
in detail.
All right.
But basically, all I'm
At the-
doing
at
is
the next
changing,
meeting.
I'm just changing the resident rate to 37. That's the only one that's changing.
And go up on the range
And that-
balls a buck.
Yeah,
huh?
that's not even on this.
Okay.
But can you put that a little bigger?
Sure.
Some guys have problems like me and Mike Grandpa over there. We
With the same format we had.
can't read
I
the
did,
small,
I did.
small numbers.
I'm following him, yeah.
Rail's coming.
Yeah, that's next.
And they got a new medicine out that works. But you don't have macular degeneration, do you?
No. I've got a nerve in my left eye that's too big, gotten big.
But now they got
So
a
you want a
new
motion?
drug. What's it do, the drug? Next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, we,
Motion to approve the
Yeah.
rates.
I make a motion to approve the rates.
I seconded it before. I think we made a motion.
Did we?
Yeah.
No, that
We
was-
got off track, so we'll take that as a second from Bob.
Well done.
No, on the rates.
Yeah. You want me to second it? Well, yeah.
Bob just did.
Yeah, good.
It's all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Heating system.
Okay, if you remember at the last meeting, you mentioned to everyone that the heater in our break room is done, no good. At that time, was able to get one estimate. We're looking at putting mini splits in. We've got 3 price quotes as of today. The first price quote, which I discussed last meeting, I thought was awful high, was $17,630. The second price quote was $12,951,
Steel.
and the third price quote was $11,045. So, in fact, we have to do something because right now we're running electric heaters in the bathrooms, and we're keeping the main heater in the shop on so we don't have pipe issues or anything freezes. But you're going through propane like nobody's business. So, and the electric bill is going up. We're keeping those electric floor heaters on in the bathrooms. So, I'd like to be able to move on this. There's a possibility of getting one more quote. I'm comfortable with the last quote that we've got and speaking with that person and their company. The other thing I'd like to point out is there are an opportunity for rebates for the installation of low-temperature heating. Was basically mass save compliant low-temperature heating. Once it's installed, you have to have the actual invoice that tells them what was installed, and you submit that, and then they'll tell you how. I mean, you could qualify for up to $2,500 in rebates. Whether or not that follows through completely, because they may consider us commercial. I don't know, but at least there's a possibility out there for the rebate. And that includes labor, installation, electrical upgrades, and so.
I think that rebate, see, there's a time limit.
Yeah, once you have to
Yeah.
submit the paperwork
Yeah.
once it's complete and installed.
Yeah.
My only question about the rebate is, okay, so they decided we get a rebate and they write a check. Does it go to the general fund, or does it come back to offset the cost of the equipment there somewhere? I don't know, so that would have to be something, if we were able to get the rebate, we'd have to discuss at that time. But I'm looking for some guidance here, is having the possibility to go forward. I will entertain one more quote next week, but I'd like to get this up and going. The nice thing about the mini heats as well is it will provide some cooling in the summer, specifically in the break room, which would be nice for the guys when it's 90 degrees and 100% humidity outside. Have a few minutes at lunch.
Any local companies of bid on the job?
They're all local.
Okay.
Advanced Air and Heat, New England Marine, and CMA Heating and Air. They're all local. When I say local, New Bedford, this area.
Dual purpose, right? Heat and air?
Yes.
Okay.
The
And
mini
it's
splits
really work nice.
There's two
Yeah.
units inside,
I
right?
got one,
Yeah, there'll be one
two,
unit in the
but it's
break
just
room,
air
one unit
conditioning.
in the
I get the one.
in the office.
Both heat and air.
And we're
One unit
discussing
outside.
taking
Yeah,
the
small
office
upstairs, right,
yeah.
I got a
heater out
musical that's half the
and
size of
putting
this
it in
stomach.
the other side of the shop. There are some times in the winter where we're working on equipment where there isn't enough room in the heated side. So we have guys working over in the unheated side. So if we, given our equipment maintenance plan, if we were to decide that we had to do that, then we would turn on that heater the night before, set it at 60, so we could warm that side of the building up a little bit. All that would take was be taking the existing unit, cutting into the gas line that's right by our main heater in the shop, running it through to the other side and hanging the heater and putting a vent up. So that would be done at
Steve,
some point in the future.
How much recaptured, oil from changing oil and machines and everything? That you,
We get a decent amount.
they have some new
55-gallon drums
new
and-
heaters now.
We don't get enough. I mean, because I had talked to my friend Ron over there and some of the other guys who do a lot of car and stuff. Whether that would be, we get enough. We get a decent volume, but we don't get enough to run it through the entire winter. I don't believe.
Some of these new ones they're small, but one of the garages that I go to, he has what a beautiful rig, and he heats his whole garage, two or three bays, and heats it all up. But of course, he does a lot of oil changes.
Is it from the ceiling, or is
It's just it's a unit. It's only about 2 feet wide by about 8 feet high.
So basically, is it run on oil? Is it run on diesel fuel?
No,
or is
runs
it-
on recaptured oil when they change the oils and stuff.
So not hydraulic oil,
No,
just regular
no.
motor oil.
Regular
Yeah,
motor
see,
oil.
if it was hydraulic oil, it'd probably help us because we change a larger volume of hydraulic
Yeah.
than we do motor.
I don't know. To tell you the truth, I don't know if it would run on hydraulic fluid. But there's a lot of
Yeah,
new
there are
heaters.
different grades and viscosity.
Yeah.
Viscosity,
You can
yeah.
mix it up and it would run
Yeah.
the same, I don't know. It's always worth looking into. I mean, I could, if it weren't for the smell, I'd try to get cooking.
I can get you some
cooking
French
oil.
fry oil.
There you go.
So do we want to,
Mandy can
Maybe we
too.
can get some golf carts to
Right.
run on that.
Yeah.
Bring it over.
Yeah.
so do we want to entertain a motion to say not to exceed 11,045, so if the fourth quote comes in less, we can at least move forward, if people are so inclined.
Make a motion to not to exceed $11,000 on
11,045
11,045.
On what?
445.
on this heating that he's talking about.
Oh,
Now, I suggest we were to say not to exceed that in case he gets a fourth quote and that's less, at least we know that we can,
Yeah.
or we can go with it, or if it ends up being more, we know that we can just go with this one and not have to come back again. So,
Second?
all in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
Yep.
Okay. That's good. Then the last thing on our agenda is Dugas LLC course assessment. So, so Ed had forwarded some information from this company who's done an assessment, primarily that attached report was the Falmouth, is it Falmouth Country Club? I know it's a municipal course in Falmouth. And I think potentially we could look at it as we're thinking, as I'm thinking, as we get closer to hopefully paying off the bond, reinvesting in our course, maybe hopefully someday some sort of clubhouse facility. And I think what this person could do and his firm could do is really just be an outside independent evaluator of the market, the revenue, where things are going, and say, from a business perspective, would it make sense to then invest that money in the course going forward? Am I on the right track with that, Ed? Is how I interpreted it?
It kind of came out of the request from the Board of Selectmen for us to put a potential and RFP together to determine where do we go once the debt, construction debt is paid off. And so to do an analysis of the operations and make recommendations of potential ways of either running the golf course to optimize the funding, the revenue. And this gentleman did the work for Town of Falmouth, and he did like a 76-page report, a lot of his boilerplate type stuff. But it seems as though he can do it for under 10 grand, which sounds awful reasonable for me. And my discussion with the chairman of the selectmen is that it's something we should see if we can pursue it. And a lot of that
We get a copy of the one he did for Falmouth?
it's on the Falmouth website.
Oh,
Go to the Golf Advisory Committee.
yeah.
And on the left side of the web page, it has all of the details of what they went through. Very interesting.
I think, potentially it could help, say, and again, I'm speaking for myself, but say in my mind, I think this is where I think it would be good for us to move forward once we move forward towards getting paid off. But if this report is favorable towards that or could support it, again, it's an outside independent person, not just David's thoughts as to, hey, if we're going to bond more money or do whatever or really commit to building something and expanding something, it's not just me or even the five of us saying, yep, it's worth doing it. At least it's an outside voice that if it goes that way,
Right.
it says, yep, even an independent person who evaluates courses all throughout New England or whatever also supports the business plan that says, yep, if we invest X in expanding our offerings, meaning like clubhouse facility, whatever, you can pay it off in Y amount of time, and it's not going to be a drain on the operations. If anything, it'll just let us sustain
Who knows, it might even
itself.
spin us in another direction, too.
Well, right,
See,
so-
is the direction then basically a review, a monetary or budget review, or are we looking more towards a master plan to give you guidance for the future?
Phasing in projects for future projects.
Plus, I would think that you would want both, because now would be the time to, as we discussed the last time, develop that mission statement, get input like this and see how that input could mold the direction of your master plan, so you're prepared before you get to the, I mean, before you get to the point of paying off the debt, you have an idea of what you're capable of doing and how that compares to what you want to do. Somewhere in there, you've got to survey your golfing public and find out what it is they're interested in, what improvements or changes they would like to see. And if, for instance, it's a clubhouse or a dining facility, you know, what type of food you're going to, you know, does that lead to this, or is it just primarily a business
I think it
dollars
could be
and
the
cents
first,
overview?
probably a
First
first step
step.
in that.
First step.
right?
First step, it obviously, you pay for what you get.
Right,
yeah.
And this guy Dugas says that depending on the scope of work you want him to do, will depend on how much he charges. So we can start off on a scope to evaluate basically how we're doing, and how he sees it compared to the market around us. He's worked with like 3,000 different golf courses. He's out of Connecticut and has a lot of experience with golf facilities in this area, and he has access to a lot of financial analysis. Take a look at his report.
Definitely.
And so I just want to let everybody know that's what we'll be doing. And I assume between myself and probably David and Manny will come up with a scope of things that we're looking for them to do, and see what he says.
All right, this is a company or an individual?
It was a company,
Okay.
but they split. Week, Spitz, Dugas, and Kane, but they ended up going their separate ways.
Okay.
So he is now an individual LLC.
On his own?
On his-
Okay.
I have an old, I don't know if I gave you a copy of it, but I had an old report of the entire Cape. Someone did a full study of all the golf courses, dollars per square foot, food sales, golf sales. I'll see if I can drum it up and give it to you for a
Well, take a
read.
look at the report.
Yeah.
So that's what we're up to.
You know, to Steve's point, if it looks like yes, and I mean, all signs of what we've been doing point towards, we could support, you know, expanding in whatever capacity potentially, right? And then so then the next phase would be what would that actually look like, right? If we're going to start with just the raw numbers of the golf industry, what our expenses are now, what's going to get freed up once the bond is paid off, then
Well,
how could that be
it
applied?
also
So-
introduces the necessities that you have to address that sometimes you forget about
Right.
until they turn into catastrophes. That's the master plan. And if you can catch it before it gets to that point of being a significant problem, then you can save revenue and actually take that revenue and funnel it towards other things.
Well, one of the things if you guys read the report too, was, you know, one of the things Falmouth needed was to rehab the irrigation system. So we took that into account too, as far as like long range planning. It wasn't
Yeah, it's like
strictly
4 or 5
revenue and clubhouse or whatever. It was
Right.
like, hey, you need this, and you know, to blow up the whole system was roughly $1 million. Like in his opinion, you couldn't afford $1 million, but you could afford to address it in stages and do
Right.
this. So that was part of it. And that was one of the things that, again, as Ed was saying, he looks like he could tailor it to what your needs are. They said we have a need to address our irrigation system, and he factored that into his financial projections. So again, I
Yeah,
think
because
he'll
we
do what we direct
obviously
him.
have a need for the clubhouse, so the question, that's the big one, really.
Right, so for us, you know, for Falmouth, it was an irrigation system. For
Irrigation.
us, it might be, let's get rid of the trailer and what can we do and what with that,
Well,
so.
that would be part of it, but your irrigation system is gonna be 30 years old pretty quick, so that's gonna have to figure in there
See,
somewhere.
he already has that spent.
You know, he's got that number.
Even though the pumps are only a couple years old, he wants.
We just put valves all over the place and now
right, so-
replace everything
You don't
else.
have enough tape for that.
Manny's going away, John's going away, who knows when we need to
John
meet
won't be
again.
back till April 7th.
April 7th.
God bless you.
I have to go watch 3
Cats.
cats.
You better not kill those cats.
Oh, that's right.
That's good,
Or
John.
lose one.
April 7th, and maybe
Gonna be, I guess,
mid-March.
mid-March maybe, or earlier. All depends how I feel down there.
So.
All depends if they find his clubs.
Be determined for now.
Yeah, they find this, oh, wow.
Right, Manny? It all depends on if they find your clubs.
Yeah, yes, another one. I'll call Ed. Dad, I need gloves.
Clubs, send them down.
Should we do something
Just don't
late,
use the
late
same
March?
I think you would have to have a meeting somewhere.
I think so too.
The end of March is the 23rd and the 30th?
Yeah.
Keeping it on Thursdays.
23rd?
And
What do we need?
I think
We need
that-
4 for the quorum, right?
Yeah. We got a call.
yeah, I think the 23rd would actually be better for me.
23rd.
March 23rd,
4:30?
Yep.
4:30, excuse me, 4:30.
Right.
4:30?
Yeah, why don't we say 4:30 for now? I might be, looking at my calendar, I might be able to do earlier, which I know people like, so once it gets closer to that, before it's time to post it, I'll know for sure what
Okay.
but we'll say 4:30 and then before that, we'll know. Right. And other than that, just a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.